All right, in a major declaration, India's ambassador to the United Nations, while addressing an online conference, laid down that if the world has to counter terror, they must recognize new challenges that are now emerging. The kind of discrimination against certain religions and ethnicities, minorities like Buddhists and Sikhs should be recognized, as should the emergent threat of Hinduphobia.
But what is unfortunate is that even as we take this voice to the highest global platform, within our country, domestically, there are certain parties that are eager to embrace the Hindu haters. Tauki Raza ko manch dete hain. The same Tauki Raza who says हिंदुओं को भागने की छुपने की जगह नहीं मिलेगी. समाजवादी पार्टी, कांग्रेस पार्टी, they are in a competition that who can hate Hindus more. There is a bunch of people who will talk about certain lynchings depending upon the state and the religion of the victim and the
those who have made such claims of wiping off Indian Muslims are still moving free. And the action is an eyewash. Mere registration of FIR or investigation going on to pass time and getting the issue fizzled out, you see, is no answer to your genuineness. It does not reflect your bona fide or genuineness in fighting terror. Well, within our house, if we don't take suitable or appropriate action against terror, I think we lose moral rights of telling anybody outside.
Charu Pragya, spokesperson of the BJP, joins us along with Professor Upali Uparajita, Distinguished Fellow at the Carnegie Mellon University. We also have with us Kamruzzaman Chowdhary, leader of the Congress. But Professor Uparajita, I want to first ask you, what was the need right now in the current context, as the war against terror is still being fought globally, to specifically flag up these concerns about Hinduphobia?
Well, you see, Hinduphobia as a term was coined in 1863, but it hasn't gained currency, the kind of currency that it has to. It represents, one of the major faiths in the world. And it has been sidelined. The Hindus have been sidelined so far, and there hasn't been enough of a movement to bring that to the fore, the fact that we are discriminated against, that India is discriminated against. So I think it was very timely and an excellent move on Ambassador Tirumurti's part to bring this, to make it official, if you will, at the United Nations.
All right, Kamruzzaman Chowdhary, what do you make of this? There is a lot of talk about Islamophobia, to say that India is now Islamophobic, but these are also issues that need to be recognized globally. In fact, a call is being given for that.
Well, Padmaja, there are two aspects to this entire issue. Let me be very candid about this. Islamophobia in India is for real. There are instances of Sikhophobia also in the recent past after the Hamas agitation that has swept through the country. Then second point that I want to tell here, that India raising up this bogey in the United Nations without even, I don't know whether they are aware of the fact that Section 377 of the UN Charter does not even recognize Hinduism as a religion. It recognizes Hinduism as a way of life. And third most important point, in short, I can say that 85% of the population of India ascribe to the Sanatan Dharma in India, and they are very proud of the cultural heritage of India. But then clubbing them with the Hindutva terror, there is a problem for the entire country. Because we cannot accept the Hindutva hegemony over the other religions, religious dogmatism that has swept over the country over the last 7 years, that we have been seeing increasing violence against the minorities, whether it be Muslim, whether it be the Sikhs or the Christians. That is very well documented, and it is talked about in the entire world. But then it is a shameful thing that we have been raising the Hinduphobia bogey across the world just to suppress that, okay, Islamophobia does not exist in India. But that is not the point.
Okay,
Padmaja,
I don't understand how you've decided it's a bogey. I think Professor Uparajita wants to respond to you. Yes, just a second. Professor Uparajita first, then Charu Pragya. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Are you trying to say that Hinduism is not a religion? That it is
you please go to the UN Charter. UN Charter. If you have not read it, ma'am, please let me correct you. If you.
No, please let me finish. Please let me finish. She asked me to respond to you.
Okay.
You're talking about Islamophobia. Hinduphobia exists, doesn't it? Does it or does it not? I'm asking you a question.
Yeah,
it was defined by Sir James Sullivan in 1863. And the Hindus, whether you want to accept it or not, have been butchered for 8 centuries by invaders. Do you accept that or not? I belong to Bhubaneswar.
Padmaja, if you
No, wait. Excuse me. Just a minute. I come from Bhubaneswar, right? And at one point there were 7,000 temples in Bhubaneswar. Right now there are 375. The rest were destroyed. Was that an act of Hinduphobia? What was it? An act of love for Hinduism?
Can
you just push 800 years?
Yeah, let me just explain you. That is the problem, ma'am. That is the problem.
Very good point raised by the professor. Now respond, Mr. Chowdhary. This is like there used to be a section of people who were known as Holocaust deniers. Are you also a denier?
Can I please Padmaja, can I just...
No, I am not...
Yes, before you come in, let Mr. Chowdhary quickly respond to this. Yes.
Yeah, I do not subscribe to the thought of Genocide Watch that they have uttered these comments. Though I do not subscribe because I believe in the idea of India since 1947. Now, having said that, madam, I could not hear you properly, but still then whatever I got, you were quoting an event from 1863. The basic point that I want to put out here, prior to 1947, there were lot of historical injustice occurring across Indian peninsula, across the world. We had seen the First World War happening. We have seen the Second World War happening. We have seen lot of incidents in the past. But please do not link that with the Hindu-phobic environment that you are trying to propagate right now. Because it's not that. What is the main purpose of the right wing?
We are not talking about pre-1947. We are talking about the current reality. The ambassador also was talking about the current reality. Just a second, Charu Pragya, before you come in, I actually want to play out, courtesy GCTC, what exactly the ambassador said about these emergent trends. Listen.
The Council should be on guard against new terminologies and false priorities that can dilute our focus. Friends, another trend which has become of late prominent is highlighting certain religious phobias. The UN has highlighted some of them over the years, namely those based on Islamophobia, Christianophobia, and anti-Semitism, the 3 Abrahamic religions. These 3 find mention in the global counter-terrorism strategies. But new phobias, hatred or bias against other major religions of the world need to be fully recognized. The emergence of contemporary forms of religious phobia, especially anti-Hindu, anti-Buddhist, and anti-Sikh phobias, is a matter of serious concern and needs the attention of the UN and all member states. It is only then can we bring greater balance into our discussion on such topics.
All right, Charu Pragya. And I hope you heard the ambassador very clearly, Kamruzzaman Chowdhary. Let Charu Pragya come in here. Yes.
So first of all, let me just remind you how real Hinduphobia is. You said you recognize India only after 1947. After 1947, what has happened to the Hindus who used to live in Kashmir? Mass exodus and genocide. But you have conveniently forgotten that. In fact, let's not even call it Hinduphobia. Let's call it Hinduphobia. Hatred for Hindus. And because of this hatred, this exodus happens. And why do you want to go back all the way to the exodus of Kashmiri Pandits long back? Let's look at the recent exodus of Hindu traders from the city of Kairana in Uttar Pradesh. That is very recent as 2021. You want to put a blanket over it and pretend it doesn't exist? you can do that, but that's not the reality of the world. Let me move on from there. Basically, Islamophobia is only a cover to propagate more Islam in the world. The Quran says it. The Quran says it. I'm not saying it. You can go and read it. So what is happening the world over with our temples being attacked in Pakistan? Every alternate week you read news of a Gurdwara being attacked. This is all attacks on religions which are away from Islam, and then this propagation has to stop. It has to stop, and it can only stop when you recognize it. If you are not even agreeing that there is a problem, how are you going to solve it? And sir, I am sorry, everything that you have said today has greatly offended me. We live in a country with a majority of Hindus. When you are refusing to recognize it as a religion, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say. The Islamists in today's country are the same ones who say withdraw politics for 15 minutes. We will kill 80 crore Hindus. That's what they say. And you are saying that Hinduphobia does not exist. You need to go back home, do some soul searching, and then some research and come back.
And you know, Professor,
it's extremely offending.
Very good point. And Professor Aparajita, it's significant. The ambassador also said that why is it only Abrahamic religions are being recognized and any sort of discrimination against them? What about other minorities? Hindus in any other country outside of India are a minority and they face hate. Why is that not recognized?
Yes, and that number is diminishing. Padmaja, that number is diminishing. In India, minorities are thriving.
Yes, Professor Aparajita.
Can I come in? Can I come in?
Yes, sir, I will bring you back in. Let the professor speak, then I'll bring you back in. Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to relate this to a much larger issue. You know, you're from the media. You've been watching how the entire world is firing off on all 16 cylinders on India. And that is a part of a much greater and bigger plot. You know why that is, Ms. Joshi? That is because India is not ready to accept Western hegemony any longer. And this is a very difficult thing for the West to accept. You know, the era of West toxification is over. So if you look at the New York Times, just Google New York Times plus India, out of 40 articles, you will not see even one which is positive about India. It's every day. And the most risible and ludicrous of these articles was when, you know, when they talked about when Secretary of State Blinken was here and they tried to digress and bring attention to a $110 million mansion or something. But back to very briefly, let me tell you, what is happening is there is a larger plot afoot. And, you know, it doesn't take rocket science to figure this out, to destabilize India. So there is a whole debate about Hinduism versus Hindutva, and there is caste and everything. By this token, look, I've lived for 42 years in Canada and the United States. Nobody's ever, from my community, from the Indian community, nobody's ever asked me, oh, well, very nice to meet you, Professor Aparajita, what is your caste? Not in 42 years. But this is what they're saying. And have you read the NBC, you know, article today about the fact that in California, 23 universities, this is very serious, have introduced caste discrimination into their agenda. Caste is not race. And this destabilization, let me finish. And the world cannot tolerate a resurgent India. And much as they try, they cannot do anything right now because with America, for example, what are we? Historically, for the last 70 years, while our neighbors indulge in blowing up various parts of the world, we are the United States' greatest partner in the knowledge economy, right? So you will see that there is a great plan afoot to destabilize India. That's not happening. All right, I'm done. Thanks.
You know, we are going to continue this conversation on the channel because it's a very important conversation that in fact has been sparked off globally by what India's representative to the UN has decided to flag up. It's quite possible that it will be taken up at the UN formally as well. But I have to take a break at this point. Thank you very much, both ladies, Kamruzzaman Chowdhary, for joining.